What up, everybody? I'm John Priest, and this is Stoned Liberty. Yep.
This one's called The World.
Shall we talk liberty? I'm about it.
Government's corrupt. I know it.
We don't have a First Amendment so that we can talk about the weather. We have the First Amendment so we can say very controversial things.
Everywhere you look. What the fuck you want me to do? I barely know how to cook. I don't see a way to make it stop. When evil motherfuckers always make it to the top. If everyone was like me, shit would be cool. We all would get along and be peaceful. But the world is fucked up. What can I do about it? The world is fucked up. But what can I do about it? There's 7 billion people. I am only one. The world is really, really fucked
but we can bomb the shit out of your country, all right?
The Arabs and the Jews can't get along. What the fuck you want me to do? Go sing them a song? ISIS just blew up an ambulance. I guess they never heard give peace a chance. Well, I don't see a way to make it stop. When evil motherfuckers always make it to the top. If everyone was like me, shit would be cool. We all would get along and be peaceful. But the world is fucked up. What can I do about it? The world is fucked up. But what can I do about it? There's 7 billion people, and I am only one. The world is really, really fucked up, son. The environment is about as bad as it can get. I recycled a can yesterday. Did that fix it yet? The government gave the banks all our tax money. Well, they can expect a harshly worded email from me. The oil companies have run amok. People protest them all the time. See if they give a fuck. They're fracking for natural gas and they're drilling for tar. And I learned all about this on the radio while driving alone in my car.
Hit that whip,
Well, I
son.
don't see a way to make them quit. They're evil motherfuckers.
Beautiful chicken.
And I'm a no good hypocrite.
But
At
why,
this point,
some
I
say the
just turn
moon?
the TV off
Why choose this as our goal?
and do things
And they
such
may
as
well
smoke
ask,
weed and play
why
golf.
climb the highest mountain?
'Cause the
Why,
world
35
is
years
fucked
ago,
up.
fly the
What
Atlantic?
can I do?
Why does Rice play
The
Texas?
world is fucked
We
up.
choose to go to the moon.
What can I do?
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
The world is really,
So-
really fucked up, son.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Stone Liberty. My name is John Priest. I'm the host of this brand spanking new podcast where I will be discussing liberty, freedom, and the libertarian philosophy as I see it. And welcome to the show. This is probably how we start out every episode. Take our mind to a different place. That way we're open-minded to things that we might not particularly find ourselves believing in. It at least lets us level with some of these tards on the internet. You feel me? I say that. And people are going to be like, yo, you started a podcast and you're over here dabbing and doing stupid shit. Well, if I learned anything from the person who inspired me and my political ideology, that being the great Ron Paul, really, marijuana use is a First Amendment issue. I'm free to express myself however I want to. If you don't like it, I don't give a fuck. But I feel like it's important, you know, this being the first episode, I feel like it's really important to touch on where I came into politics, so on and so forth. If I quit choking first. But with that being said, like 34 years old, the first election that I really paid any kind of attention to was the 2008 election. And that was a really important election for America, period. If you listen to some people, it was all about, you know, us selecting the first African American, and who was it? Was Mitt Romney? Who the fuck is that guy? To quote Conor McGregor, who the fuck is that guy? I mean, when you look at the two philosophies that are the uniparty, it's funny because when you look at back then, the sides were opposed, and it was the lines were pretty clear. You know, they said Republicans are against healthcare, blah blah blah. Democrats wanted to be anti-war, but yet they all supported it. Republicans, I have my bones with both parties, but the thing is that on stage was this guy. You can comment on his stature if you want to. You know, I don't. Ron Paul's not a big guy. But what he said opened a lot of people's eyes. Because when you get on stage with a whole bunch of people that are promoting a war, saying that it'll be good for America and good for democracy. And I mean, if you look at it historically, yeah, in times of war, like World War II, wars are terrible, but at the same time, like our country, but it was a different time then. We were going through the Industrial Revolution, so on and so forth. So there were a lot of contributing factors to why the economy boomed. We can't say it was just the war, but I think the war effort actually spurred on the growth of the Industrial Revolution, which is important, but we're beyond that, you know. And then when we look at 2008, we were given these false propositions, you know what I mean? It was like, pick a side. If you don't pick Democrats, then you're a racist, and which is still true today. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And for years, since 1988, we had a hero in the libertarian movement, and his name was Ron Paul. He would do these interviews, and they're interviews that are available on YouTube. I suggest looking at them all. If you're upset with the raid on Mar-a-Lago, you're some kind of Republican, go back and listen to what Ron Paul said in 1988. And if you're concerned that they went after Trump, dude, they go after normal Americans every fucking day. Like, selective outrage is fucking stupid. Like, either be outraged or don't. And that's part of the libertarian philosophy. Like, not outrage, but we, as a party, have been observing Washington, the cathedral, whatever you want to call it, the mainstream media, and how it's devolved. And it's devolved to a point now where it's so obvious. It's so obvious. So this is the perfect time to be a libertarian. And people were like, well, what do you mean to be a libertarian? Well, I myself personally, like, if anything, I would say I'm an anarcho-capitalist, you know. I want decentralized government. I think that, you know, like, I honestly think that when it comes down to it, everything should just come down to, like, private agreements, dude. Like, private contracts. Make everything private. Because it makes a lot, you know what I mean? If one person hires another person to do this, or one person hires this company to do this under a private contract and there are rules set up, then boom. If somebody fucks up, whether it's the person that hired the people or the people that are doing the work, people can be held accountable. And in our current government form, nobody's fucking held accountable. Nobody. I don't care who you are, bro. I really don't. When I look at it, the Trump raid to me is hilarious. Because now Republicans hate the FBI. The Democrats, who used to be anti-FBI, anti-law enforcement, are all of a sudden all pro-FBI. And looking at it from the outside, it's clear to the average American that, like, if you've paid attention to history, the FBI sounds exactly like some of these regimes that had their own political police. Like, how long? You're just now catching up? But I digress. You know, what it means to be a libertarian is, I'll put it in layman's terms. You do you, boo-boo. I do me. I won't bother you if you don't bother me. I can disagree with you. We have freedom of speech, so we can talk about things. We can try to get to know each other. But other than that, like, I'm not going to stop you from doing what you want to do. And then when it comes to society, first of all, the non-aggression principle rules all. Second of all, like, we've devolved as a society away from just common sense morals. Like, we shouldn't be talking to children about, I mean, okay, we had sex ed, whatever. We definitely shouldn't be talking about bedroom fetishes with children. I think a majority of people would say that's inappropriate. But in my ideal world, that would be up to the localities. If places in New York want to be cool with drag queen story hours for children, and they approve it, okay. See how many people stay there. Like, it's a more, like, here's my whole thing. You can't, number one, it's hard to legislate anything. You know what I mean? We're given rights. I live by the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Articles of Confederation. That's my approach to everything. It's already been laid out to us. All these laws that they've passed, these laws that they continue to pass, all those do is take away from your freedom, away from your liberty. And what it means to me to be a libertarian is to fight against that system which strips us of everything that was granted to us in the first place. The glorious rights that were instilled to us by whoever our creator was. I don't like getting into the debate of because I guess I would consider myself agnostic. I'm just not a big fan of organized religions. I'll say that. But to me, being a libertarian is just as self-centered as it sounds, like sticking up for your rights that are granted to you to live as free as you want. You know what I mean? That's the Constitution. Literally, no matter how you want to interpret it, no matter how many historians want to say, oh, it was rooted in racism, blah, 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 blah. Like, in the research that I've done, like, when they bring up the whole, like, 3/5 of a person or whatever, like, in the research that I've done, it turns out that was actually a caveat to make sure that slave owners wouldn't be able to get the votes necessary. Like, it was a 4D chess move of freedom. But again, like, libertarian, we just want everybody to live free. So live free and listen to a few words from Ron Paul and Dave Smith, two people that I look forward to hopefully meeting someday, and people whose opinions I appreciate, because it's all about freedom, and that's important to me. So check these out.
When they asked Ron Paul what his campaign was about, he said, I would sum up my foreign policy as the following. I don't want to run the world. I don't know how to run the world. The Constitution doesn't give me the authority to run the world. We ought to mind our own business. And I would sum up my domestic policy as the following. I don't want to run your life. I don't know how to run your life. The Constitution doesn't give me the authority to run your life. We ought to respect individual liberty in this country. That was Ron Paul's message.
They will if they understand my defense of liberty is the defense of their right to practice their religion and say their prayers where they want and practice their life. But if you do not protect liberty across the board, it's a First Amendment type issue. We don't have a First Amendment so that we can talk about the weather. We have the First Amendment so we can say very controversial things. So if you have the inconsistency, then you're really not defending liberty. But there are strict rules on freedom of choice of this sort, because you can't hurt other people, you can't defame other people. But yes, you have a right to do things that are very controversial. If not, you're going to end up with government that's going to tell us what we can eat and drink and whatever.
Gillespie, who I love, but he says, there are these anarchists who their whole thing is they want to die on the hill of we need to privatize the sidewalks. Look, man, that's not the hill I'm trying to die on. The hill I'm trying to die on is we need to end the wars and end the Fed. And that's what our candidate should be saying. And I will gladly die on that hill. I care about the liberty movement. I care about the philosophy of libertarianism, the most beautiful, brilliant political philosophy ever devised by man. I care about actually seeing liberty in real people's lives. Now, just to be clear, I don't have to go off on this to you people, but the philosophy of libertarianism is the philosophy of peace. It's the philosophy of prosperity. And as I've come more and more to realize, it's the philosophy of civilization. I mean, what better describes civilized behavior than the non-aggression principle and respect for private property rights?
Yeah, so that brings us to my story of the week. I don't know if you guys saw or not, but the what I'm just calling the Inflation Act passed and was signed into law this week. And there's a lot in that bill. I haven't read it. I'm not going to bother reading it. There's no point in reading it because I already know that a majority of the bill doesn't help our inflation situation. So I don't really want to dive into everything that was a part of that. A lot of the the new green energy bullshit that they put in there. They just put a lot of pork in there that does nothing but fatten their own pockets and keep Americans poor. But what did come out of that, and what everybody noticed, was that the IRS is getting a raise and getting 87,000 new employees. And I caught a lot of hell on Twitter this week calling them agents. They're fucking IRS agents, bro. Fucking don't try and church it up, boy. It's dirt. They're fucking IRS agents. And there's been a lot of talk on the internet about why it's a good thing, why it's a bad thing. Come on, dude. I prefaced this whole segment with Scott Horton's tweet for the simple fact that, look, as a libertarian, I want to abolish basically the entire government, but mainly the IRS and the Fed, you know, because they're fucking terrorist organizations that destroy the American people. But, you know, I feel like that's neither here nor there, you know? Like, I feel like that should be common knowledge. It's not. Most people don't understand what the Fed does. It's not even a government organization. It's ran by the government, but it has nothing to do with the government. You feel me? It's not regulated by the government. It regulates the government. So, when we hear this, it's just like, bro, 87,000 new agents. 87,000 new agents. And not only that, you know, they say, oh, they're not agents. They're not agents. They're not agents, and they're not going to, they're not going to go after anybody that makes less than $400,000. But let's just look at what the media has to say about it, shall we? This is from the Coin Telegraph. I was going to call it the Coin Telegraph. And in their report, they say the Inflation Reduction Act, signed into law this month by President Joe Biden, empowers the IRS with nearly $80 billion in new funds. The world's most powerful tax collection agency is using the money to go on a hiring spree to fuel much tougher enforcement efforts. It is widely assumed that the audits will be brutal and widespread. Taxes start with tax returns, which must be signed under penalty of perjury. The Biden administration has said that the audits on steroids are for fat cats who have escaped having to pay their fair share for too long. Who is he talking about? Because if we're talking about fat cats, what about Nancy Pelosi and her fucking husband making all this fucking money? Are they going to pay their fucking fair share? I digress. The administration has suggested that IRS would perform no new audits on anyone making less than $400,000 annually. Republicans tried to include that in the law, but every Senate Democrat voted against the amendment, as well as IRS audit protection for those earning less than $400,000. So they're coming after you, no matter what you want to say to make yourself believe that they're not coming after you. This is out of the New York Post. The Inflation Reduction Act, sent to President Biden's desk, will end up forcing working class Americans to pay billions of dollars in new taxes, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Oh yeah. You know, everybody hates the Congressional Budget Office, but what they have to say is, at the very least, entertaining to me. It says an analysis by the CBO estimates those earning less than $400,000. Whoosh. The group on which Biden praised or promised not to raise taxes will pay an estimated $20 billion more in taxes over the next decade as a result of the Democrat-pushed $740 billion package, which also sets aside $80 billion to hire 87,000 IRS agents. I didn't say that, dude. The New York Post said that. These are fucking agents of the law. They are federal agents. Don't fucking lie to yourself. Don't lie to anybody else. All right? The CBO already has said that that's fucking ridiculous. Now, we talked about them hiring the agents. Let's just take a quick look and dive into this real quick. Their job posting. For these new IRS agents. Under your major duties. 1. We want you to adhere to the highest standards of conduct, especially in maintaining honesty and integrity. The IRS. Really. Okay. 2. Work a minimum of 50 hours per week, which may include irregular hours, and be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends. Yeah, so you can ruin everybody's holidays and weekends. 3. Maintain a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job. Bro, we'll get into that in a minute. If you've seen these training videos, they're not fucking serious. They're hiring an army of Voshes to come take your fucking money from you. Fuck that. Let's go on to bullet point 4, one of the most egregious ones of the whole thing. Carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary. You are a fucking IRS agent, okay? Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't people out there that say, fuck the government. They see somebody in a fucking uniform and they automatically decide that they're going to go off. Dude, they are those people, but they're few far between, okay? And if you do what you're saying you're going to do, that's going to create a lot more of those same people. It's going to make sane, S-A-N-E, sane people go do insane things when it comes to the shit that you guys are trying to push on everybody. Number 5, be willing and able to participate in arrest, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. Since when was the IRS a branch of the military? I mean, really, since when was the IRS a branch of the military? And you think I'm joking. You think I'm joking. Let's this was I believe out of Reuters. This was published out of Reuters. This has to do with the IRS and how they are preparing to audit the fuck out of all of us. It says the IRS has 4,600 guns. 4,600 guns. And 5 million rounds of ammunition, according to a report from Open the Books published in 2020. With Democrats on the verge of passing $80 billion in additional funding to facilitate the hiring of 87,000 new agents. There's that fucking phrase again. Not me. This is the media telling you these are fucking agents. How much will their arsenal grow? It's a great question. The Democrats' push to increase the size and power of the IRS has significant criminal justice and basic due process ramifications. Of course, due process died a long time ago. People mad about the Mar-a-Lago raid, they've been doing that to average citizens forever. You thinking you have due process is a fucking fallacy. Dude, get with the times, bro. Open your fucking eyes. And open the book's report titled The Militarization of U.S. Executive Agency shows that even without the proposed $80 billion in increased funding, the IRS Criminal Investigation Division is already heavily armed at the taxpayer expense. The current 4,600 gun stockpile includes 3,282 pistols, 621 shotguns, 539 rifles, 15 fully automatic firearms, 4 revolvers. Y'all have no faith. I mean, I don't like revolvers. I'm not a big fan, but I mean, 357 Magnum, bro. Come on, bro. You maybe that's the only 4 that they have, and if that's the case, okay, whatever, cool. But according to the Government Accountability Office, the ammunition breakdown is as follows. Pistol and revolver rounds, 3,151,500 pistol and revolver rounds. 1,472,050 rifle rounds. 367,750 shotgun rounds. And this oh God. Fully automatic firearm rounds, 56,000. The fuck are you talking about, bro? If a weapon is fully automatic, it doesn't take specific ammunition, dude. The fuck are you fucking talking about? This is exactly why I can't take any of this shit seriously, man. I mean, seriously. We're talking about people that are going to come rob you at gunpoint, tell you that they need your money to make your life better. What fucking part of your life is getting better? Really, what part of your life is getting better? Nothing right now is getting better. We can look at the past. We can say things were better under Trump. Dude, I was never a Trump fan. The one thing that I did like about Trump, though, is that he kind of ripped the curtains down from the play. You know what I mean? Now we get to see what's going on backstage. And we see that all those motherfuckers in Congress are all on the same side. They're on their side, while us, the average American person, is completely fucked. We're our own side and we're fucked. We have no representation. They don't represent us. And that's the funny thing about the IRS. There's supposed to be no taxation without representation. Our representatives don't fucking represent us, bro. So why the fuck do we pay taxes? Governor Abbott, I live in Texas. Governor Abbott doesn't do... When he ran to get elected originally, he promised school choice. And now we're what? He's been in there, I don't know how long. Has been re-elected. I don't know how many times. Is running again. Still hasn't passed school choice. But that's going to be on our next topic. As far as the IRS is concerned, dude, I'm with Patty Pimblett. And I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite memes that came of all this news about the IRS. Check these hoes out. Fucking hilarious.
You know what I mean? People people seem to think once you're fighting in the UFC, you're getting £1 million a fight. Lad, the world doesn't work like that. You don't realise how much we get taxed. Like if I could kill the tax man, I'd kill the tax man.
Just to stop about the tax man. What about us getting added to the game, lad?
No, we'll still kill the tax man.
Why James crying? Cause he just got dumped on. I ain't even lying. Yo, he just got dumped on. Yep, he was standing in the way, so I jumped up in the air and I dunked it on his face. Why James crying? Cause he just got dumped on. I ain't even lying. Yo, he just got dumped on. Yep, he was standing in the way, so I jumped up in the air and I dunked it on his face. For the rest of the game, the lead went back and forth. It was all tied up when I checked the scoreboard. There was only 10 seconds left on the clock.
All right, so now that we've been through our story of the week, we've done our little report on the IRS and their new hiring, I'd like to take this moment to kind of piggyback on that story and talk about property taxes. Now, I live in Texas. We don't pay income tax here. It's fucking wonderful. And I'm not recommending you move here, but I'm just pointing out good things about Texas. But we don't pay income tax here. But over the last, under Governor Abbott's, and this is what I want to get into, but I'm going to be doing a separate episode where I actually dive into the candidates and what their policies are going to be. But what's happened under Abbott's watch has drove exponentially property taxes up to the point where people, I'm selling my house. I'm 34. I worked really hard. I own a house and I'm proud of that, but I can't afford it. Even though my house is nearly paid off, the property taxes alone, once it's paid off, dude, I'm a type 1 diabetic. It already cost me about $1,500 a month to stay alive. So paying property taxes on top of that, pretty fucking tough. And so you have Abbott. And so since we're going to talk about Greg Abbott, I also have to talk about the other candidates in the race. Wheelchair, fuck you, bro. I've had a big problem with wheelchair for a really long time. Before he was governor, he was the attorney general. And under his leadership, the attorney general has basically stolen fatherhood from thousands of fathers across the state of Texas. My dream was to be a good dad. My baby mama, I'll save what I want to say, but we didn't work together, right? That's an honest to God truth. We didn't work together. But we had a custody agreement. She violated that custody agreement. And somehow I still ended up with less time with my child. And I'm not going to get super personal into it, but basically, if I did what my baby mama would have done, or if I did what my baby mama did to me, I'd be in prison for kidnapping. She left more than 2 counties with my child. And it started there. And now he's become governor and things have progressively gotten worse. Now there's some things you can argue, oh, well, he's done this and that. Whatever, bro. On the whole, Greg Abbott is a piece of shit. When he ran for election in the first place, he promised school choice. We're 2 re-elections deep and this motherfucker still hasn't passed it. So, the fuck out of here. You don't care about freedom? We're still arguing over medical marijuana and marijuana in general. Get the fuck out, bro. Our state could be reaping the benefits of the money, the revenue that would be brought into the state by marijuana, and here we are still having a debate because you're just such a prude piece of shit. Better than your opponent. One opponent. Robert Francis. His name is not fucking Beto, okay? He had a Mexican nanny that called him Beto. His name's not Beto. Quit calling him that. It's disingenuous. It's not true. His name is Robert Francis, and he's a loser. He's never won anything. His policy ideas are fucking absolutely batshit. I'll be sure to post some clips so you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. But this guy, number one, you're a Democrat, so you're fighting for higher taxes. You're running on a platform saying that you're going to take guns away from law-abiding citizens in the midst of a crime wave. What more do I have to say? I mean, when I get on Twitter, I can tell that you have a lot of connections, a lot of rich people from out of state, because I see your posts all over Twitter. And not only your posts all over my Twitter, I live in Texas. I have friends that live outside of the state, people that I've met through Twitter who say they're bombarded by piece of shit Beto O'Rourke campaign bullshit. Why are you sending Beto O'Rourke ads to people that live in Pennsylvania? Really? And when I look at these two people, I just see an amalgamation of the things that I hate the most when it comes to politicians. But that brings me to something that actually makes me happy. Recently, the Texas GOP decided they were going to sue to get libertarians off of the ballot. They lost. So guess what? The people with a similar political philosophy as me still are on the ballot in a lot of places in Texas. And that makes me super happy. Jeff Miller, Mark Tippett. I could go on. These are people that I would vote for. Mark Tippett, born in Mexico. Extremely successful businessman. He owns and built a hydroelectric dam in Central America. He provides energy to poor people. This is somebody who actually has the interests of the people in mass in his heart. He cares about other people, and not like some emotional care. He cares about their liberty. He wants them to be free, to be able to do what makes them happy, what makes them healthy, what keeps them safe. And that's why I have to give him a lot of respect. He is everything these parties, the Uniparty, the Republicans and Democrats, not only fear, but they're the one. He's what they want in a candidate. And what I'm sure what upsets them the most is the fact that he would never run as a Republican or a Democrat. Because he stands on his convictions. He stands on his morals. He stands for liberty. So you can't just offer him $1 million. He doesn't want. He's a successful businessman. That's like offering Elon Musk $1 million to pitch your political ideology, bro. Elon Musk doesn't give a fuck. $1 million isn't even a drop of piss in a bucket for that guy. And I feel, and Mark Tippett has exemplified that status, that he doesn't care about the money. He cares about the liberty. And that's what makes him my choice. So without further ado, I'll present you some views of these candidates, if you want to call them that. Only one of them should be the governor, and that's Mark Tippett.
Further, you said, quote, Americans who own AR-15s and AK-47s will have to sell them to the government, all of them. You know, the critics call this confiscation. Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how would this work?
I am, if it's a weapon that was designed to kill people on a battlefield. If the high impact, high velocity round, when it hits your body, shreds everything inside of your body, because it was designed to do that, so that you would bleed to death on a battlefield and not be able to get up and kill one of our soldiers. When we see that being used against children, and in Odessa, I met the mother of a 15-year-old girl who was shot by an AR-15, and that mother watched her bleed to death over the course of an hour because so many other people were shot by that AR-15 in Odessa and Midland. There weren't enough ambulances to get to them in time. Hell yes, we're gonna take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not can allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Over what I have supported in the past and what I still support today, and that is, we don't need to be stockpiling our jails and prisons with people who were arrested for minor possession allegations. And so what that would do is, if we were to pursue what I saw in the past, and that is to make possession a Class C misdemeanor. There will not be any type of jail time or anything like that. So that it reduces any type of criminal penalty for possession, so that we will be keeping those jails open for the dangerous criminals who deserve to be behind bars.
I'm a libertarian. We believe in being fiscally responsible, socially tolerant. We believe that all the rights of all the people matter all the time. We have to fight for our liberties and fight for our rights that are protected by the Constitution from the moment we wake till we go to sleep at night. They take away our rights so easily. They camouflage it so well. That's why I'm running for governor. We need people that will truly be vigilant. We can no longer compound the problems. The war on drugs, our education system, the federal government intrusion on Texas. We have to really stand up and push back and give our younger generations something to work with. The Democrats and the Republicans will never solve our problems. They cannot solve our problems because, as we all know, you cannot solve problems with the same mindset that created them.
Now that we've gone over our nominees out of Texas, you'll have to do research into your own state. But now we get into my favorite segment, something that I've been looking forward to producing since I decided to start this podcast, and that is This Week in Disqualified. Yeah.
Disqualifying.
All right. So when I started this podcast, one of the first things that came across my mind was that I have to have a segment that deals with grifters trying to coattail the National Party. And I came up with some good winners this week. Now, our first winner is now a member of the Forward Party. She used to be a member of the Libertarian Party. And watching her and her interactions at party events, conventions, so on and so forth, I never really got the feeling that she was a libertarian. I felt more like she was a petulant child who cried when she didn't get her way. Breonna Coyle. She comes in at number 3 this week. The Libertarian Party tweeted, "They say insanity is doing the same thing again and again, expecting different results. You know, like sending your kid into a public school year after year and wondering why they come home less smart." To which Breonna retweeted and said, This has low-key fashy vibes. Keep your children uneducated and indoctrinate them at home so they don't question your authority. Doesn't sound very libertarian to me. Breonna, come on now. Look at the public education system and tell me that if you send your kids to school, they won't come home indoctrinated. I'm sorry, girl, but you are
disqualifying.
Yeah, you're disqualified. She got our number 3 spot. And then she had another one, a meme that was just trash. It just proves more that the left can't meme. But number 2 on our list for the of the week, I have a reporter from the Hill, Mr. Robbie Sove. The other day, Dave Smith tweeted, "In today's political environment, you're never going to please everyone. The fact that so many progressives and neocons are outraged at the new LP tells me that we're where we're supposed to be." To which Mr. Sove replied, "I am neither a neither-con nor a progressive, but I would really like to see more professionalism from the official Twitter account of the LP National." Mr. Sove, I don't doubt your credentials as a libertarian. I watch The Hill, and I agree with you a lot of the time. But this is one thing that I'm fucking tired of seeing. When you look at politics today, when you look at the way government officials speak to each other, it's worse than middle school, the way they treat each other, the way they talk to each other. You want professionalism? Are you kidding? You work in Washington, bro. Ain't nobody up there professional. They're always talking sideways shit. None of them has the balls to actually say, "Hey, you're a fucking fucktard." Of course, that wouldn't be very professional, but, you know, sometimes you gotta throw professionality out of the window and just fucking tell people how it is. So, I'm sorry, Robbie, but you're fucking disqualified. And on to my favorite one of the week. And he's got a couple of tweets that I have to address. The first one was in response to the Libertarian Party, or not in response to the Libertarian Party, but in response to a question that was posed by somebody on Twitter. Joe Walsh says, I'm not a Democrat. I don't support Liz Cheney, or I don't believe Liz Cheney belongs in prison, and I refuse to support an authoritarian criminal like Donald Trump. So yes, it's clear. I don't belong in the Libertarian Party. To which the party responded, "On behalf of libertarians everywhere, we wholeheartedly accept your decision and would like to recommend you join the Democrats." Joe Walsh. Was this as an attempt at satire? The person who loves the FBI, who loves the police, I'm sorry about your son, but you exemplify everything that the Libertarian Party is not. You have this elite status, you know, the government will do anything to help you out, but the rest of us Americans can get fucked by the American government, and you don't have a problem with it. On to the next, I have to do the next tweet because it was just as fucking stupid. He says, "I know and respect you, Maj," speaking of Maj Toure, "and I don't doubt you believe in freedom. But the LP National tweeted today that Liz Cheney should be in prison. She's a fucking war criminal. Yeah, she deserves to be in prison. The LP also embraces much of Trump's authoritarianism." Wrong. We've never supported Trump's authoritarianism. If anything, the only thing the LP has advocated Trump do is be more of an asshole, because it makes people see how fucking retarded and stupid our political system has become. He did a good job of ripping the curtain down around the stage to show what people do in the backstage and how much they fuck off and don't really respect Americans. And he said that to Maj, saying libertarians don't believe in freedom is incorrect. I'm a libertarian, and as freedom over everything as it can get. Agreed. Most of us are. So Joe Walls, you are. And you can shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you. Go back to hunting criminals, you fucking piece of shit. And that's been this week in Disqualified. Alright, so we've reached the end of the first episode of Stoned Liberty. Hope you've enjoyed your time here with me and our news story of the week. I'm going to take this time to, in this video, promote some of the podcasts, some of the liberty lovers that I love, some of the podcasts that if you love liberty, I think you should check out. And I know what some of you are going to say. Production is terrible. Blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this all from my phone. My PC shit out on me, so I don't have DaVinci and all the other tools that I use to edit videos. But that being said, new PC coming in the next month. So editing will be a lot easier to do than from my Galaxy. And we'll see what the news has to say this week. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of shit to cover. I'm probably going to end up making a couple shorter videos. I'd like this to be a weekly podcast, but I am going to be probably doing some segments on shit that's in the news, you know, because the news is so shitty. But I want Stone Liberty to be a thing. I want people to enjoy their liberties, and part of enjoying your liberties is fucking fuck the law. You have the right to be happy and ingest what you want. So smoke your pot. That being said, I need to give a shout out to the real MVPs. So allow me to go through this list. Number one on my podcast watch list is Part of the Problem with Dave Smith. If you're not familiar, Dave Smith is not only an excellent comedian, but quite possibly could be the Libertarian presidential nominee in 2024. So if you're not watching his podcast, you're fucking yourself. Disqualified. Podcast number two that we have to shout out, one that I really enjoy, one that I watch anywhere, is Liberty Lockdown with Clint Russell. Clint's a fucking beast when it comes to the Libertarian Party and putting out libertarian views when it comes to Twitter, ratioing the fuck out of just dumbass libs and Republicans. So definitely follow Liberty Lockdown. Next on my list is somebody that I love her to death because she has no filter. She says what she wants and she says what she means. And that is Carrie Ann Harlos with Pink Flame of Liberty. So if you're not watching that, you're fucking yourself. Go ahead and subscribe to that. Now, on to another just wonderful person. Somebody who I've never met, but after he won vice chair at the Reno Reset, Joshua Smith, like that dude, God, man, like, he's a wonderful father, stands up for liberty. I admire that guy a lot. And he's another one of those people that just says what he means, makes no qualms. He'll call you out on your shit. Joshua Smith breaks the cycle. Check that out on YouTube. Somebody who we can't forget. Someone who I will refuse to let anybody forget, and who just recently celebrated a birthday, is the legendary Ron Paul. Ron Paul and the Liberty Report is a must-watch, and much love to the person who introduced me to the libertarian philosophy. Next up is somebody that I enjoy following on YouTube, somebody that's excellent with their content, excellent at their editing skills, and who is just a generally funny, hilarious person, is Dan Smots, aka SidePod, with The System Is Down on YouTube. So go check that out. Definite must watch. And if you're a real libertarian, you're familiar with Toad and Senor Jose, and they have a podcast, Tower Gang. Shout out to those guys, fucking excellent podcast. Another one that I really enjoy is the Liberty Dad Pod out of Florida. That is fucking... It's a great watch. Great for liberty. When it comes to my furthest west plug on the podcasts, dealing with libertarian issues and liberty, shout out to Liberty Layton and Outlawed Thoughts, which is another really great libertarian podcast. Somebody who people make a lot of qualms about and have issues with, but somebody, because I might be on the spectrum, somebody who I really respect and who I see as a good voice for liberty is Michael Malice. So you're welcome, Michael Malice. Check that one out on YouTube. And then we also have to remember, and my last shout out for podcast is going to be Michael Heiss, the Mises chair, and now I can't remember I can't remember the name of the podcast, but it's under the Mises Caucus YouTube, so check that out. And yeah, like I said, this to me, you know, everybody builds a platform. And if you want your voice to be heard, you have to at least be able to put your voice out there. And that's what I wanted to do. I've had several other podcasts, I produced the Yellow City Comedy podcast when it started, which is great. If you're into comedy and you're in the Amarillo area, check out Yellow City Comedy. I had fun producing that podcast. I had fun being a guest on that podcast. I did Confessions with Priest, but that I let that get away from me. I did I Don't Give a Fluff. That one was alright. It didn't get a lot of views, but this one, I don't even really care about the views. I want to put liberty out there. If people watch, then they're gonna watch, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna have fun with this. And as time progresses, it's only gonna get better. Once I get my PC running and I'm running 4 cameras and I can do everything I want to do, edit on the fly, edit while I'm actually recording, dude, it'll be on point. And we'll get there. But until then, John Priest, Stone Liberty, do your dabs, fuck the government, abolish everything. And until the next time.